afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The sirens have sounded, which signal the beginning of the 117th annual Putnam County Pioneer Days celebration here in Kalida. I'm Kevin Kidd.
And I'm Tim Weary.
And together we will
host the afternoon's parade.
The weather is cooperating today, Tim, after last night's heavy rains.
Fortunately, yes. It's not quite as warm as it normally is, but it's dry, and we'll take that dry weather every time here in Kalida.
Just like your sense of humor, Tim. Today, ladies and gentlemen, you will see more than 250 units passing in front of you. High school marching bands, baton-twirling youngsters, farm implements and machinery, elected officials, old and new cars, and floats representing the theme of this year's parade, Pioneers of Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow.
A very important thing to remember is that because of the fact many of the trucks and farm implements are so large and wide, and because the parade is fast moving, parents, please help to keep your children away from the edge of the streets. We do not want to have any accidents mar the last day of the Putnam County Pioneer. Many times, participants in the parade will throw candy into the crowd, and at times it lands into the streets instead of into the crowds. Please help keep your children off the streets in order to make the parade a very safe event.
Tim, while we have the time before the parade passes the reviewing stand, why don't you take a few minutes and explain the parade route to our visitors today?
Here's the track for sure.
The parade will start at the Kalida Ballpark and the St. Michael's Elementary School on 4th Street. It will travel southwest on 4th Street for 4 blocks. The parade route makes a right-hand turn onto Water Street for 1 block, then makes another right-hand turn traveling northeast along Broad Street. The parade participants will continue past the town square and the town hall and fire station. It will continue to pass the St. Michael's Catholic Church, makes a right-hand turn, and finishes where it started, back at the elementary school. While we have a few minutes before the parade passes the reviewing stand, don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, that tonight the big drawing will be held, giving away $2,500 at 9 p.m. with $1,000 being the grand prize. And you do not have to be present to win. The cost of the tickets are $1 a piece or 6 for $5. Get your tickets from the big ticket booth located in front of Holt Camp Hardware Store. They will be selling tickets right up to the time of the drawing.
Many people wonder where the money goes that is made by the Lions Club and the Kalida Volunteer Fire Department. Well, Kevin, and I know for a fact that the money does not go to lawyer fees for Jim Baker. It does, however, go, there is a few people listening. Good. It does go, however, to many of the community projects. The Kalida Lions Club's major project each year is the Kalida Community Park. Over the years, more than $250,000 has been spent to create such a fine community park. The Lions donate money to the Lions International to stamp out drug abuse and to educate children and young adults about the dangers of drugs. The fire department uses their proceeds to update their present firefighting equipment and to help fund new purchases of equipment. The Kalida Volunteer Fire Department has served the community for over 70 years. We're certainly glad they are here to protect the community and the surrounding area.
While we are waiting for the first units to come through, we do have to brag just a little bit about the fact that the parade has never been rained on. It has rained before the parade, and it has rained after the parade. Again, I guess with having the parade on Sunday, God has seen it fit to certainly bless the event. Good afternoon.
I don't think that is the start of the parade. I don't remember it going that direction anyways, but I've been backwards for quite a number of years now, and maybe it happens. Thanks, Big John.
Today, we would particularly want to welcome all of you grandparents here at the Putnam County Pioneer Days celebration in Kalida. Today is National Grandparents Day. Grandparents play an important part in the family structure and are excellent role models for the younger generations. We congratulate all of the grandparents today and wish them good health and hope they enjoy the Pioneer Days parade.
Children play an important part of the parade by being participants in the marching bands, the marching units, and the floats. Parents certainly have to be commended in taking their children to the many practices and taking them to the many other parades throughout Northwest Ohio. There is so much behind the scene work that we who do not have children, and that's me, participating in these parades, do not see what all the practice and time that goes into the event. So parents, thank you very much for making this year's parade a huge success.
You know, Tim, Pioneer Days was started to have an opportunity to renew old acquaintances, and I'm sure that most of us have seen people over the last 4 days who we have not seen in quite some time. The reason that Pioneer Days is so successful today is because of the beliefs of those who originated Pioneer Days, and each year the tradition grows and grows.
Yes, Kevin, that's very true. It is Pioneer Days here in Kalida is very much a homecoming for many people throughout Putnam County. And like you said, I have seen many friends that I haven't seen in several years gracing us this weekend in Kalida, and it's really nice having an opportunity to talk to them.
Tim, I was a Pioneer Committee person for 2 years. There is a tremendous amount of time setting up the Pioneer Days.
That's very true, Kevin. The committeemen for this year are Al Siebenek and Ron Buss are the volunteer firemen that head the committee, and the Lions members are Barry Woodyard and John Remlinger, and I know for a fact those guys have spent a lot of time. They start going to meetings every week, the first week of July, and they meet every week, every Wednesday night until probably for another month yet, well into October. They'll be meeting every week, figuring out what's going on, how we can make it better next year, what we did right this year and what we did wrong. And those guys spent a lot of time, and I was a Pioneer Committeeman the last 2 years, and a lot of times it's very much a thankless job. But I would like to take this moment to thank those guys very much. You were a very big part of this weekend, and even though it rained like crazy last night, it's still a very successful weekend. Pioneer Committeemen, thank you very much.
Soon we will be seeing the beginning of this parade. The parade is traditionally led by the law and order representatives in the community and the county sheriff, and the Kalida police chief. And while we have just a few minutes before the parade starts to pass the reviewing stand, the Holy Name hamburger stand will be open after the parade for some really fine hamburgers. Try the hamburgers at the St. Michael's Holy Name stand located on the square. They have all the ingredients there to add on to the really fine beef. Also, after the parade, at the big dance ticket located on the north side of the square, there will be a free dance, compliments of the sponsors of the Pioneer Days, the Kalida Lions, and the Volunteer Fire Department. Soundwave will be providing the music from 3 to 6 p.m. Younger people and you older people who still think young, stop on over to the big dance tent and enjoy the fine music.
At this time, I would like to remind everybody, I know you've heard it over the PA system before, but there will be wristbands for sale directly after the parade from 3 o'clock until 7, and that's for $5. You can ride, your kids can ride all the rides that they want in that 4-hour time span. That's a pretty good price. It's a holiday special today. They normally don't do it, but they think Kalida's special, and so do I, and they've given us a special deal.
Well, here we are, Tim, starting the parade. Starting off this year's parade, as always, are the law enforcement officials in the county in Kalida, Sheriff Ron Deemer and Kalida Police Chief Walter Coles. You know, ladies and gentlemen, Putnam County has one of the lower crime rates in the area. Your law enforcement personnel play a big part in keeping the crime down. Our hats certainly go off to all the town and county law enforcement officers in the county. They all help keep Putnam County a safe place to live.
Immediately following our fine law enforcement officials is the Kalida EMS. The Kalida EMS is under the direction of Mr. Chris Phillips. The technicians and the paramedics who provide the emergency medical services are volunteers. We in Putnam County can feel secure that if we have a medical emergency, the EMS squads in the county can be counted on for excellent service. EMS folks, thank you very much. All your services and times is greatly appreciated. Thank you all. Thank you.
Right behind the Kalida EMS are representatives from the American Legion Post 65 in Ottawa. They have been helping lead the parade for so many years. Thanks again for your participation in this year's Putnam County Pioneers Day Parade. And thank you for your service to the United States and defending our country with the many years of wars and conflicts in the past 50 years. We have just a few moments here before the Kalida High School band will be passing the reviewing stand. And speaking of the band Boosters Bingo will be having their games going on after the parade. This is a major fundraiser for the Boosters. Let's help support the Wildcat Marching Band program after the parade. The bingo stand is located on the northwest side of the square near Umberfirth Motor Sales.
I'd also like to remind everybody about the Ronald McDonald House program. We'll be having their annual Pioneer Day raffle directly after the parade. If you have a chance, stop in front of the fire station directly to my right and help support the Ronald McDonald House. Those are some fine folks that do a lot of good things for people in all over the United States.
Go ahead.
Here we have the Kalida Wildcat Marching Band under the direction of Chaz Myers and his wife, Beth Myers. Let's just sit back and listen to a very, very fine band. Chaz and Beth Myers, thank you.
Kalida is certainly proud of the high school's band program. Let's have a warm round of applause for the Kalida High School Wildcat Marching Band.
Kevin, have you ever seen so many talented and good-looking young people in one time in your life?
They are talented. Thank you, Tim.
The only reason he said that is he used to be a band member, and he wants to like to think he's a talented young person. But he's not young anymore.
The truth hurts, Tim.
Next, we have the Pioneer Committee. I'd like to thank all you guys. In the back seat is Ron Buss and John Remlinger, and driving the beautiful convertible is Barry Woodyard from the Lions Club, and Al Siebenek is riding shotgun for Barry.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your tremendous support again and efforts in making this year another very successful Putnam County Pioneer Day celebration. Here are some town officials. The Mayor, John Phillips, and the clerk is Denny Canott, and Solicitor Larry Leopold.
Gentlemen, thank you for all the time that you've spent in Kalida making this a truly wonderful community to live in. I'm proud to be a person that lives near Kalida.
Behind every successful mayor is a town council that works with the mayor to have a town operating well and services being provided. The council include Gene Schmiersall, Dick Buckrath, Dolores Riemann, Dan Vorst, Dan Ellebrock, and Dale Ramp.
Following our council, we have the Board of Public Affairs in a beautiful Plymouth van. And the Board of Public Affairs are Carl Fortman, Roger Dickman, and the very lovely Denny Karras.
One of the floats going through the parade is one of the supporters of the Kalida Pioneer Days, the Kalida Lions Club.
I helped build that float, and I'm awful partial to it, but I think that's one of the prettiest floats we've ever had. Following the Lions float, we have Cheryl Grody, the Pioneer Queen from last year, the 116th Pioneer Days last year. Cheryl, thank you for stopping over today in Kalida and joining us. You look as lovely as ever. Following last year's queen, we have the veterans from Spencerville, Ohio, I believe. The VFW post from Spencerville. Gentlemen, thank you for coming over again this year. It's always a treat to have you with us. Thank you.
Right after the Spencerville VFW are some of the antique cars. The first car is a 1956 Olds, driven by Paul Miller and owned by Paul. They are from Defiance, Ohio.
Car number 2 is a 1969 GTO Judge Pontiac, owned and driven by Eugene Kirk.
Car number 3 is a 1964 Dune Buggy, driven and owned by Robert Alt from Lipsick. Thank you, Bob, for coming.
The next one is a 75 Baja, driven by Bill Crochman from Lima.
Car number 5 is a 1969 Chevelle Chevy, driven and owned by Randy Ordway from Continental.
Car number 6 is a 1969 Camaro, driven by Steve Mag, and it's owned by Mark Mag, both of Fort Jennings, Ohio. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming over.
Tim, here is some firefighting equipment from one of the other sponsors of the Putnam County Pioneer Days, the Kalida Volunteer Fire Department.
That's truck number 1, driven by Joe Selhorst for us this afternoon. The Volunteer Fire Department is under the direction of Al Siebenek, I believe. Is that true, Chris? Yes, our cameraman says Al Siebenek is the fire chief here in Kalida. Following truck number 1, we have the Emergency Rescue Squad. It's where the firemen keep a lot of their heavy coats and their boots and things like that to take to emergencies here in Putnam County.
And again, ladies and gentlemen, the proceeds from much of the Pioneer Days goes to the purchase and renovation of these wonderful pieces of fire equipment, Tim.
Truck number 4 for the Volunteer Fire Department is driven by Denny McCullum, and that is the Grasshopper. And I guess they try to run over grasshoppers with that thing that sit on the road. I don't know. That makes sense to me. A grasshopper would smush grasshoppers, I guess. There is Tim Snipke driving the next truck for the Kalida Volunteer Fire Department. Tim, thank you for your past services, and I hope to see you working with us in the future for Pioneer Days here in Putnam County. Roger Hahnemann is driving the heavy rescue unit here in Putnam County, the rescue squad. CD, thank you for driving through today.
Following the Kalida fire equipment is a float with the Kalida Cub Scout Pack 221. Yesterday's Tiger Cubs are today's Cub Scouts and tomorrow's Boy Scouts and future leaders.
I'd like to welcome President Reagan there, our former President Reagan, excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Reagan. You look wonderful. You never get older, it seems like. It's just the way you looked last year. Give him a good one, Kevin.
Right behind Cub Scout Troop 221 is the award-winning Ottawa Glandorf Titan Marching Band under the direction of Fred Nordhaus and assisted by Ken Shortkin. Many Kalida people will remember Fred when he led the Kalida Band some 20 years ago. We certainly welcome back the Ottawa Glandorf Band to the Putnam County Pioneer Days Parade this afternoon.
I think it would be a good idea to just sit back, relax, and enjoy watching a very beautiful people perform music for us.
Let's have a warm round of applause for the Ottawa-Glandorf Titan Marching Band. Thank you for your participation. We hope to see you next year.
Excellent. Excellent, excellent job. Now I know why they're called the Titan Brass. They sure sound good. Next we have the Kalida Cub Scouts, Pack 221. Yesterday, Tiger Cubs are today's Cub Scouts. And the Den Mothers are Roger Colley and Dan Veeney-Cutter and Louis Ellebrook. The Den Mothers do a fine job with these young men.
Right behind Pack 221 is the Kalida Fish and Game Club. A wonderful float. Thank you very much for your participation this year, Kalida Fish and Game Club. Behind the Kalida Fish and Game Club is car number 7. Getting back to the older cars, a 1959 Oldsmobile Delta 88, driven and owned by William Klinger from Schenectady, New York. Thank you very much.
Car number 8 is a 1971 Torino Ford, owned and operated by Jerry Warnicke, Fort Jennings, Ohio. Jerry, thank you for coming over.
Car number 9 is a 1968 Caprice Chevy, driven and owned by Dennis Schrader from Leipzig.
Car number 10 is a 1929 SSK. It is a kit car, and it's owned by Bob Sanderson. Thank you, Bob, from Lima.
Following car 10 is car number 11, a 1958 Imperial Crown with the original 392 Hemi. It's owned and driven by Randall Wary from Fort Jennings.
A 1968 Imperial Crown Coupe is car number 12, and it is owned by, or it's driven by Hubert Wary, and it's owned by Randy Wary, Fort Jennings.
Right behind car 11 is the Kalida Go-Getters, marking the best even better.
40 years of service here in Kalida, the Kalida Go-Getters, 4-H. Outstanding job you people do with our young people.
Following the Kalida Go-Getters is the 1989 Putnam County Junior Miss Kelly Kaufman. She's the daughter of Marilyn and Leon Kaufman.
Following Kelly, we have the Knights of Columbus out of Findlay, Ohio. And I understand these gentlemen have to get going this afternoon because there is a 4th degree ceremony someplace, if I remember correctly, one of them telling me that. Gentlemen, you add a very nice flair to the parade here in Kalida. Thank you.
Behind the Knights of Columbus is the Putnam County Right to Life float. We speak for those who can't. Thank you for your participation this year in the Putnam County Pioneer Days Parade.
That's one group that never clowns around. Here is the Kalida KSC Club. It's yesterday's youth, today leaders. The KSC, the Knights of Columbus, Father Michael Murrell, Kalida, Ohio. Thank you, Knights.
Here are the Comets from Ottawa. The top leader for the Comets is Amber Carpenter. The second group leader, Melinda Kaufman. And the third group leaders are Rebecca Levy and Lizette Shatler. Thank you very much for coming to this afternoon's parade, ladies.
And a gentleman. I see a gentleman playing a drum. Ladies and gentlemen. Next we have, following the Comets, is possibly my very favorite entrance to the parade each year is the Grand Rapids Jeepsters Club. The Jeepster was the last American-made touring car. They were built by Willie Overland in Toledo for 3 years only in 1948, 49, and 50. These cars were registered by the restored by their owners, the Grand Rapids Jeepsters. Thank you for coming over. I love your horns. Every year it makes me smile and laugh. That's what it kind of sounds like when I blow my nose.
And right with the Jeepsters is our state representative from the 82nd District, Mr. Lynn Watchman. Thank you for coming, Lynn, this afternoon.
Looking good, Mr. Watchman. You're looking good. This is probably the most exercise you get all year, isn't it, Lynn?
Behind Mr. Watchman are the Friends of McDonald's House welcome you today. The home away from home. We have great response to the raffles in the past, and today we ask for your continued support for a brighter tomorrow. The Ronald McDonald House will be raffling off a glider rock and other items in front of the fire station after the parade. These proceeds go to the Ronald McDonald Houses in Toledo and Columbus.
Here we have the 1989 Park Queen from Ottoville. I didn't catch your names. I didn't read them fast enough, but thank you for coming over, Ottoville. They're the contestants for the Ottoville Park Queen.
Behind the Ottoville Park Queen and King are the Ottoville Lions float.
And on them are baseball players from Ottoville. Ottoville Lions Club. They're a brother club of ours. Thank you for coming over, Ottoville.
Right behind the Ottoville Lions is a 1950 Case Tractor DC, driven by Dan Bartledge and owned by Melvin Bartledge in Ottawa. Thank you very much.
A 1957 Ford Model 850 is tractor number 101, and it is owned and operated by Marvin Barloggy, Ottawa, Ohio. Marvin, thank you for bringing that beautiful tractor over to let everyone get a chance to see it this afternoon.
Tractor 102 is a 1949 Model 2. They said they got this out of a junk pile 2 years ago in Minneapolis. It's driven and owned by Joe Cabledge from Fort Jennings.
And another tractor. Here's a pretty red one. It's number 103, and it's a 1946 Farmall M. Driven by Dan Schulte. And the owner's name is Ed Hermiller. Look how shiny that baby is, Kevin. I'll bet you there's 1 or 2 coats of wax on that sucker.
I would say so, Tim. Right behind Tractor 103 is Tractor 104, a 1934 Farmall F12, driven by Jeff Schulte and Scott Verhoff, and the owner is Paul Schulte.
Following tractor number 104, we have the Putnam County Law Enforcement Explorer, Post 253. Sponsor of the Putnam County Sheriff Ron Deemer. Super sponsor is Putnam County Sheriff Ron Deemer. Advisor Ethel Vaughn. Also advisor is Chris Babaugh. Following that, we have Jesus Christ, the same yesterday, today, and forever. Jesus will always be the same. They are from Mount Pleasant.
Approaching the viewing stand is the Big Green Marching Band. The Big Green Marching Band is under the direction of Warren Bowery. Thank you, Audible Big Green, for coming and participating again in this year's Pioneer Days Parade. Let's give them a warm round of applause.
Another very, very fine-looking group of young people. They do a nice job over there with the young people in Ottoville. Ottoville, thank you for coming over this afternoon. Next, we have the Nurse of Hope for the American Cancer Society, and that's Mary Ellen Killian. Mary Ellen, thank you for coming over today.
Right behind the Nurse of Good Hope is Big Brothers and Big Sisters. They were formed in 1979 to provide one-on-one contact between adult men and women and youth from single-parent families. The agency currently has 19 matches active in all parts of Putnam County. The agency is currently trying to find adult volunteers, especially men, to be matched with a child on the waiting list.
Following the Big Brothers, Big Sisters, we have the Triads Baton Corps. The head majorette is Stacy Lau and Stephanie Dunderman, with 36 twirlers along with 2 drummers, Dwayne Price and Scott Wolf. A very, very fine-looking group of young people. And like we were saying earlier, young people are a very big part of the parade for us this afternoon. I'd like to thank the Baton Corps for coming over here. You had a very nice touch for the Pioneer Days here in Putnam County. Boy, they got really little kids, Kevin. Just think this parade route's a couple miles long, and they only take half a step what we do, so it makes it about a 4 or 5 mile trip for them.
Chances are it might be some nap time this afternoon, Tim.
No doubt.
Here are some cars again. Car number 13 is a 1965 Chrysler 300 hand top, driven and owned by Urban Miller from Columbus Grove. Thank you very much for your participation this year.
Following car 13 is, of course, car number 14, and that is a 1951 Ford Victoria. Everything is completely original. Even the driver? Is the driver original too? Oh my gosh. It's owned and driven by Earl and Jane Clayman. Everything is original.
Car number 15 is a 1931 Ford A, driven by Richard Kuhlman from New Bavaria and owned by Walter Schuler from New Bavaria. Thank you very much, the people from Newber coming this afternoon.
Dennis Schuler is driving a 1930 Ford Roadster A, and this car is also owned by Walter Schuler from New Bavaria. They've got some fine people over in Newber. I've been over there several times, and I've got several friends there, and they're nice people.
Right behind the Newber people, Tim, is car number 17, a 1967 Cornet RT Dodge, driven and owned by Dan Wary from Kalida.
Following that is a 1974 Dodge Challenger. This was the last year that the muscle car was made, and it is driven by Mark Wary, and it is owned by Mark Wary. And Mark, I love the color of that car. An orange muscle car like that is definitely one of the prettiest.
Since today is National Grandparents Day, we want to particularly welcome the residents of Quality Care Nursing Center from Paradise Oaks. Paradise Oaks provides all levels of care from skilled, intermediate, and custodial. And we thank you very much for your participation in this year's parade, ladies and gentlemen.
Following Quality Care Nursing, we have the Ottawa Memorial Park T-ball champions. I never had an opportunity to play T-ball. I always wanted to, but they've got a great opportunity over there, the kids in Ottawa. These are the T-ball champions.
They're a big hit in Ottawa, Tim, I understand.
Absolutely.
The first runner-up in the Ohio's preteen is Renee Ward. Thank you very much for participating this year, Renee, and congratulations.
Very pretty young lady. Following Renee, we have Rick O'Shea. And I had an opportunity to talk with this gentleman last week, and his name is Paul Golden. And Paul has performed ricochet juggling in more than 235 parades since 1982, juggling 2 bats and a soccer ball over 370 miles. He loves a parade.
Following Ricochet are the Little Miss Putnam County, Danielle Matson, and Little Mr. Putnam County, Abbott Quartet. The car that they're in is compliments of H&K Motor Sales in Continental.
These people look like buck skinners. Where are you guys from? They do it every time, every year, and I fall for it every year. I about jump right out of my pants. Ain't nobody ever accused me of being bright. Following the Coon Skinners, we have the Putnam County Snowmobile Club. These sledders go all over Michigan and Canada looking for a good time. If you got a snowmobile and you want to ride with a good group of people, go along with the Putnam County Sledder Snowmobiler Club. Oh, ain't got quite enough to get some candy up here. Ain't got quite. I'll bet you my English teacher's real proud of me.
Behind the sledders are representatives from Oakwood, Little Miss Oakwood, Darcy Brown, and Miss Oakwood for 1989, Kathy Bradford. Thank you for participating in this afternoon's Putnam County Pioneer Days celebration here in Kalida.
You know, Kevin, the parade is probably about a third over now. And we've seen vehicles from all over Putnam County and Northwest Ohio. Here in Kalida, we like to call the Pioneer Days Putnam County Pioneer because everybody benefits, and everybody from Putnam County benefits, and a lot of people come here and enjoy the weekend with us. Next, we have a baton group from Bluffton, I think the banner read.
Bluffton and Ada, Michelle's Twirlers.
It's a good thing you've got good eyes, Kevin.
And Heidi's Dance from Ada, Ohio.
Another group of very lovely young ladies. Talented, I might add also.
And right behind them are Michelle's Minorettes. That's an appropriate name for them.
When you grow up, you become majorettes, so now you're minorettes. Very clever. These little people are taking awful tiny steps. I feel sorry for them. It's a long parade route. You're not quite done yet. You got a long ways to go. This parade route's over 2 miles long.
Thank you, young ladies, for participating in this afternoon's parade. Thank you very much.
It looks like they take people from about 3 years old, 2 years old on up to 18.
Right behind them is a three-wheel motorcycle, 1947 Harley, driven and owned by Randy Parsons from Columbus Grove.
A 1959 Cadillac is car number 20, and that's owned and driven by Don Recker, and he likes to call that car Batmobile number 2.
Car number 21 is a 1968 Chevy Camaro Z28, sponsored by Countryside Storage in Fort Jennings. The drivers are Carl Kennedy and Jamie Lynn Kennedy, and the car is owned by Carl Kennedy.
I see they're advertising a little bit there for Riverbend Flying Service, Fort Jennings, Ohio. Dave Gerker. If you need some flying done, call Dave. Car number 22 is a 1963 Olds Cutlass convertible, owned and driven by Paul Newverman, Ottawa, Ohio. It's a beautiful car, Paul. Thank you for coming over.
And behind car number 22 is car number 23, a 1970 Chevelle Chevy, driven and owned by Jason Wieging from Fort Jennings. Thanks, Jason, for coming and participating in this afternoon's parade.
And following Jason, we have Tom Mayberry from Columbus Grove, and Tom is driving a 1962 Crown Imperial Chrysler. Pretty black car. 1962. That car looks nicer than my 88 does.
Right behind car 24 are representatives from the bomb shelter in Glandorf. They're a little light on their feet with having old Milwaukee light boxes around them this afternoon.
And there's a cheese wedge from the bomb shelter, Glandorf, Ohio. If you want any kind of cheese, call Glandorf, the bomb shelter. Thanks, Michael.
Nothing goes better with beer than a little pizza, right, Tim?
And cheese.
Behind the bomb shelter are Flanagan's Builders from Delphus, Ohio. They are pulling the Adelphus Optimus float this afternoon. The float material was donated by Tri-County Lumber and Flanagan Builders, both in Delphus. Thank you very much for coming in this afternoon's Putnam County Pioneer Days Parade.
Following the Delphus group, we have Jayco, Share the Pride, Fortman's Auto and RV in Kalida. And the Fortmans, Carl and Mark, are very big supporters of the Pioneer Days here in Putnam County, and they do a lot of work for us. Carl and Mark and their father, Cleet, thank you very much. The Fortman boys, thank you.
Right behind Fortman's are a small car representing Dan Schrader, builders of fine homes here in the Kalida area.
Following Dan Schrader's entrance, we have vehicle 105, and that is a 1948 John Deere M tractor, and it is driven by Dennis Young-Peter, and it's owned by Earl Young-Peter, both of Spencerville. The Young-Peters, thank you for coming over this afternoon.
Tractor 106 is a 1935 Farm All F12, driven today by Ken Barber. The owner is W.H. Osting from Delphus.
And also, following that, we have another 1936 Farm All F12, and it is driven by Roger Ostings, and the owner's name is W.H. Ostings.
Following Tractor 107 is Tractor 108, another Farm All, a 1936 Farm All F12. Again, this is driven by Dennis Osting and owned by W.H. Osting from Delphus.
I can tell W.H. Ostings really likes old tractors because this is a 1937 Farmall F12, and this is owned by Ron Ostings, and it's driven by Matt from Fort Jennings, Ohio. Matt Ostings, thanks for coming over.
And finally, the last of the Osting tractors, tractor number 110, is a 1938 Farmall, driven by Ron Osting, and again owned by W.T. Osting. Thank you very much for participating in this afternoon's parade, Osting family.
After that, we have a 1939 John Deere B. That's tractor number 111, and it is owned by Victor Moser, and it's driven by Gerald Moser. Following the Mosers, we have the Collie Feed Mill, which is celebrating their 50th anniversary in business here in Kalida, owned by Norman Lou Collie, and their kids Randy and Gary are also helping Norm out with his business. There's Randy and his lovely wife Christy right there. Beautiful. You really clean that baby up, Randy. It looks pretty darn nice. There's Charlie Gerdeman in a feed truck owned by the Collie Feed Mill, and his son Brian. I'll bet it took those guys more than a minute to clean that baby up, because that's a working feed truck.
The Collie Supply and Feed Mill and Kalida are landmarks for the town of Kalida. They've been here for so many years, Tim.
50 years, Kevin. They've been supplying agri-supplies of all kinds to the Kalida community for the past 50 years. And they do a very fine work. There's Howard Rellinger in his little spraying truck. Just that real little truck there. That's Howard Rellinger in there. Also from the Collie Supply and Feed Mill. If you need any kind of herbicides or fertilizer, that's maybe what I'm spreading right now, talk to Howard Rellinger at the Collie Feed Mill. Also driving a semi for Collie is Smiley Schulte, Paul Schulte, the main truck driver for Normie Collie, and he's also saying that happy anniversary to Norman Lou Collie and the Collie Feed Mill. 50 years of service to the Kalida community. Again, Normie, thank you very much. And one more vehicle. The Collies had to take a whole week to clean all these vehicles up. This is their other big truck to haul grain. Any place you want to take it, they'll haul it. Collie Feed Mill, 50 years of service here in the Kalida community.
You know, Tim, someone else who has been providing over 50 years of service to Kalida is the Kalida Telephone Company, and they are certainly proud to be part of the Pioneer Days celebration. We have a 4-horse hitch, which is owned by Dewell Acres, driven by Bob McDowell and assisted by his son, Kip McDowell.
These horses are approximately, 25 inches tall, Bob? Is that right? How tall are you, Bob? About 70 inches tall? We also have an entrance from Mobile Manor of Columbus Grove, and that's driven by a little teeny tiny horse, too. Thank you for coming over, Columbus Grove.
Following Mobile Manor are some cars again. Car number 25, a 1966 Corvair Chevy, a 4-door sedan. It was bought new in 1966 by the present owner, Harold Altenberger. It's also driven by Harold Altenberger, Route 2 Cloverdale.
Car number 26 is a 1966 Plymouth Sport Fury. It has a 440 with 4 speeds, and it's driven and owned by Ralph Lursman, Fort Jennings. Thank you, Ralph.
Car 27 is a 1966 Plymouth Sports Fury, driven and owned by Carl Lursman, Route 2 Fort Jennings.
A 1967 Mustang Ford is car number 28. It was just restored, and it's owned by Matt Liebrecht of Fort Jennings, and Matt's also driving it. Matt, thank you for coming over. A truly beautiful car.
And passing the reviewing stand is car number 29, a 1966 Chevy, driven by Bud Vandemark from Gomer. The 1966 Chevy is owned by Bud and Jim Vandemark from Gomer.
We're having 2 units this year from Spencerville joining us, just one this year. They decided to change it to just one. from our good friends over in Spencerville, Ohio, the Invincible Fire Company, Spencerville.
And behind Spencerville is Honebrink Excavating for swimming pools, hauling, sewers, footers, water lines, basements, ditch cleaning and demolition. See Honebrink Excavating in Ottawa.
Next we have Nienberg Auto Sales and Service of Ottawa, and that is a Lamborghini, I believe. That car doesn't cost much, Kev. About 100 grand. I'll take it home for you.
Following that car is Big Daddy's Towing from Lima, Ohio, offering 24-hour wrecker service. That's Big Daddy's Towing in Lima.
John Schrader Welding and Brazing follows Big Daddy's truck. And if you have any problem with anything, any welding or brazing needs to be done, be certain to see John Schrader. He'll help you out. Thanks, John.
Behind John Schrader Welding are representatives from the Miller City Fire Department. They have a unit, truck number 1 is a Ford pumper, a 1976 Ford pumper. The Miller City Fire Department Fire Chief is Jim Clayman.
Following Miller City, we have a very, very fine business here in Kalida, Frank Knieve and Sons Plumbing and Heating here in Kalida, Ohio. And the Knieve boys are also big sponsors of Pioneer Days here in Kalida. And Frank, I'm bragging you up so much, knock some money off my bill next month, would you please? No, they are very fine air conditioning and heating units. They do good work, the Knieve boys. Thanks.
Right behind Knieve and Sons is All Occasions Paper Party Supplies, Route 109 in Ottawa. They will have a new location, Ottawa on October 2nd, which will be right in the downtown area of Ottawa.
Next we have the Ottawa Feed and Grain Hardware, and of course, beautiful downtown Ottawa. For all your True Value parts, go see the Ottawa Feed and Grain in Ottawa. Thank you for coming over, Ottawa. Also, the Ottawa Feed and Grain Company, you can get your feed ground there, and it looks like they'll deliver it to your home. Again, the Ottawa Feed and Grain Company in Ottawa. Very, very fine people over there in Ottawa. Thank you.
And right behind the Ottawa Feed and Grain are some more antique cars. A 1929 Tudor sedan, driven and owned by Burl Huffman in Ottawa.
A Fairlane 500 is car number 31, and it was manufactured in 1963, owned and driven by Matt Willem, Lipsick, Ohio.
Car number 32 is a 1970 Ford Torino, driven and owned by Dick Good here from Kalida.
A Fairlane GTA is car number 33, manufactured in 67, and it's a Ford, and it's owned by Butch Karras, Ottaville. Thanks, Butch.
And right behind car number 33 is car number 34, a 1929 Ford A, driven and owned by Walt Von Dalen from Ridgeville Corners, Ohio. Thank you for coming in this afternoon's parade.
Next we have Metzger Brothers from Fort Jennings, Ohio. The new white 80 tractor. This is the only tractor under 100 horsepower that's manufactured here in the United States. And it's also made in a neighbor town, Coldwater, Ohio. And the white is a 160 tractor. And they said I have to do this in Earl Pitt's voice. It's, "Wake up, America! White farm equipment is made in the good old U.S. of A." Metzger Brothers, Fort Jennings, Ohio. Thank you for coming over. Beautiful tractors. There's my cousin Greg Miller in there driving it. Thank you for coming over, Greg.
Passing the reviewing stand from Pleasant Township in Columbus Grove is the Columbus Grove Pleasant Township Fire Department. They brought along a 1980 Ford. The chief of the Columbus Grove Fire Department is Ralph Anderson.
And we have a little bit more fire equipment from Columbus Grove. Our good friends in Grove, they've got a fine fire department over there also. Thanks for coming over, fellas. We really appreciate it. I'd like to remind everybody to please keep your kids off the street. We don't want anybody to get run over. Next, we have the Caro Elevator Company in Caro, Ohio, bringing us a Field Jimmy. If you have any ground out there that needs to be sprayed out towards Carroll, be certain to call the Carroll elevator, and I'm most certain they'll spray any herbicide you want. Maybe even Agent Orange or something like that. I don't know. Whatever you want, they got her.
And behind the Carroll elevator are representatives from Kalida Motors here in Kalida for some fine cars, used and new. Stop at the Kalida Motors here in Kalida. Kalida Motors is owned by Kalida's own Carl Vorst.
Next, we have the Lipsticks, Ohio, over here with us today. And boy, they've got a whole group of good-looking people over there from Lipstick. Thank you from Lipstick and Miller City, it looks like. Fine group. It looks like there's some volleyball champions. Oh, that's Todd's team from Ottoville and Miller City. They're on the Lipsticks, Ohio truck. Thanks for coming over, and congratulations on your victory. Beautiful T-shirts. They won those. They made me say that. Next is car number 35, and it is a 1938 Ford, but it's not a car, it's a truck. And it is owned and operated by Gary Gunicus, Fort Jennings, Ohio. Gary and Fort Jennings, thank you for coming over. We appreciate it. Our good friends just west of town.
Right behind truck 35 is a car number 36, a 1956 Buick Super. It still has its original owner, Elmer Karoff from Elida. He is also the driver this afternoon. Thank you very much for coming, Elmer.
Car number 37 is a 1953 Chevrolet sedan delivery. And it's owned and driven by Dave Rodney, and Dave says, come see me at H&K. We'll set you up with a deal. H&K Motors Continental, a fine group of businessmen.
Car number 38 is a 1967 Mustang, driven and owned by Jason Clear from Fort Jennings, Ohio.
An Impala, Chevrolet Impala is car number 39. It's is manufactured in 1962. It's driven by Melvin Klima, and it's owned by Dan Klausing, both of Spencerville. Thanks for coming over, Spencerville. This is the Agri-Supply Company from Findlay, Hamler, Holgate, Lipstick, and Ottawa. That's a very big business. And they are the Agri-Supply Company. Thank you for the candy. And they are distributors of quality fertilizers and farm chemicals. Thank you for coming over. Next, we have a historical vehicle, but we have no information on it. So everybody's just going to have to look at it and say it's neat. And I can say one thing for sure, it's green.
And right behind that historical car is a representative of the Bloom Township Emergency Squad and Fire Department. This was the first vehicle built by Braun Industries, and the emergency squad vehicle that you see today was built in 1972.
I guess it's more of the same. I guess this is more of the same of the Bloomfield Township. Thank you for coming over. Braun Industries.
Following Braun Industries is the float by the Union Bank Company here in Kalida and Columbus Grove. They've been providing financial services to the community and county since 1904.
Next, we have the Carter Lumber business in Columbus Grove. Plumbing, paint, kitchen, windows, and doors. For all your house building needs, please see the Carter Lumber Company in Columbus Grove, Ohio.
And right behind Carter Lumber is a golf car, which says that old lady Pat Zeller is 40 today. Happy birthday, Pat.
Car number 41 is a 1966 Pontiac GTO. Driver's name is Scott Klausing, and the owner is Dan Klausing, both of Spencerville.
And behind car 41 is car number 42, a 1966 Plymouth Sports Fury, driven today by Pat Luganbill from Toledo. The owner is Bob DeSoto from Carroll.
A 1930 Model A Ford is car number 43, and it's driven by Dale Lawrence, and it's owned by Dr. Dale Walter, Lipstick, Ohio.
Tim, this is a beautiful looking car, 1967 Chevy convertible Camaro. It's driven by Eric Spencer today from Middle Point. The owner is Don Landwehr from Fort Jennings.
Coming up next, we have our Queen contestants here at the Putnam County Pioneer Days. The Queen winner was the very lovely Dawn Karras. But I also like to say all the other young ladies look equally as lovely as Dawn does. Ladies, thank you for your support in the Putnam County Pioneer Days. The float was donated by the Kalida Volunteer Fire Department here in Kalida. Thanks, gentlemen. Lovely group of ladies.
Right behind the Kalida Pioneer Queen Court are our friends from Delphus Fire Department. They brought along a 1962 Seagrave. The Delphus Fire Department Fire Chief is John Clark. And behind the 62 Seagrave is a 1930 Seagrave fire truck. Again, representing Delphus Fire Department. Thank you for coming this afternoon to the Putnam County Pioneer Days Parade.
Go Jefferson Wildcats in football. Next is a 1923 Roadster Ford, and that's car number 50. And the driver's name is Donald Snyder, and the owner is Donald and Sandy Snyder, both Columbus Grove.
Car number 51 is a 1987 Oldsmobile 442, driven by Alvin Snipke and owned by Andy Snipke. They've been first place in the car show since 1983.
Car number 52 is a 1983 Cougar Ford, and it's owned and driven by Carl Kister, Ottawa.
Representing the Four Deuces Car Club is a 1986 Buick Century, driven and owned by Jim Rosenberger from Ottawa.
And here is a float representing the Four Deuces Car Club in Ottawa, Ohio. And they've got all kinds of trophies and plaques there that they've won in the past, so apparently it's a very fine club if you got old cars to restore.
Car number 55 is one of Ford's greatest failures, a 1959 Edsel. It's driven by Frank Tovey, and the owners are Frank and Carolyn Tovey from Ottawa.
I think old Henry rolls over in his grave every time he sees that baby drive down the road. Next is a 1959 Ford, and it's driven by Todd Tobe, and it's owned by Frank Tobe, both of Ottawa. Thank you for coming over. Again, representing the Four Deuces.
Car 57 is a 1984 Mustang GT Ford, driven and owned by Art Kubander from Ottawa.
A 1968 Ford Mustang XL, owned by Carl Kubander and driven by Carl, both of Ottawa, is 58.
And finally, car number 59 is a 1988 Mustang GT convertible, driven and owned by Steve Turnwald, Route 2, Cloverdale.
Next we have the Kalida Wildcats, the 1988 state champs in Division 4 girls basketball team. Thanks, ladies. Congratulations to y'all. Coached by Bill Trinkamp and Frank Schrader. A very lovely group of ladies and also talented.
They've certainly made Kalida proud the last 2 years, that's for sure.
Next we have the 1989 state Acme baseball team, and I believe those guys went to state and did real well. Congratulations, gentlemen. There's more. All these high school kids, I know now why they call it Acme, because they're all high school boys with, never mind. They're an Acme team.
We've got just a little gap here in the parade, so we'll go over some events that will be occurring after the parade. The Fire Ladies will be having their homemade food stand located next to the big dance tent. They will be serving their delicious food after the parade this afternoon. The Catholic Ladies of Columbia will be having their traditional Pioneer Bake Sale. Those of us who really enjoyed the calories, stop on over and look over their fine selection of baked goods located next to the big ticket booth.
I don't know what's coming up, but it's awful noisy, Kevin. In fact, I don't even know if we should bother talking because it is awfully loud. It's a great big truck with a whole bunch of partying people.
Sounds like Kalida is rocking today.
Boy, they're having a lot of fun. Twist and Shout DJ service, owned and operated by Donnie Sellars, also was playing the music for those people on Big Daddy's Carryout here in Kalida, Ohio. Don is available for parties of all kinds, with all kinds of music. Next we have a TW35 Ford from Holmeyer & Sons, and that's pulling a TRC 600 manufactured right here in Kalida by the Remlinger Manufacturing Company. And behind that is a Great Plains grain drill, 3-point grain drill. Thanks for coming over, Holmeyers. Following that, we have a 1086 International driven by Barney Becker, and he is pulling a TRC. This is a lot bigger one. TRC 600 also, manufactured again here in Kalida by Remlinger Manufacturing, and John Remlinger is one of the Pioneer Committeemen, so go out and buy one.
Right behind Remlinger Manufacturing representatives are representatives from the Fort Jennings Volunteer Fire Department, our friends from Fort Jennings. Thank you very much for attending this afternoon's Putnam County Pioneer Day celebration.
Following our good friends in Fort Jennings, we have a refreshing as spring all year round of Papa's Sausage Sassafras. Isn't that like root beer? Sassafras is just like root beer. You can tell I drink a lot of it.
Following Pappy Sassafras are our friends from Lima, Hayden's Towing, who provide 24 hours of service from Lima. Thank you for coming in this afternoon's parade, Hayden's Towing from Lima.
Read that, EMS. I don't have time.
Following Hayden's Towing, we have the Sauter Farm Craft Village in Archibald, Ohio. If you want to see what life was like 100 years ago, go to Sauter Farm and you'll understand what pioneering is all about. It's 1 mile north of Archibald on State Route 2. Sauter Farm and Craft Village, Archibald, Ohio.
And Tim, right behind Sauter's Farm is a 1939 Farm All F12 tractor. It's driven and owned by Dan Tiemann, Route 3 Delphus.
Tractor number 114 is an old John Deere restored by Dan Tiemann, and it's driven by Dan Tiemann from Delphus, Ohio. A very, very beautiful John Deere restored diesel, a 1957. Beautiful, beautiful diesel. Thank you.
Tractor number 115 is a Rumley 2040, which was built in 1918. The driver and owner is Bob Drummer from Kalida.
I think I know why it's called an oil pull. The way that baby barely runs. If the oil runs out, then you pull. Following the old oil pull, we have a representative from Ottoville, the E&R Trailer Service. Oh, excuse me, Middle Point. E&R Trailer Service in Middle Point, a very fine Peterbilt semi, pulling a couple of judo people or karate people around.
Right behind E&R Equipment Sales is the Gilboa Fire Department, Blanchard Township. They brought along a couple vehicles, a 1979 tanker and a 1978 brush buggy. The fire chief's name is David Mansfield. They will be having their sesquicentennial celebration in Gilboa Saturday, September 16th in Gilboa.
Next we have Coverman Construction, siding, roofing, remodeling, and new homes. Jim Coverman, owner. Where are you guys out of? Out of Delphus, the Coverman Construction firm out of Delphus. Thank you for coming over, Covermans. Next we have Umberfirth Motor Sales, a Laser RS. Umberfirth Motor Sales are very, very big supporters of the Putnam County Pioneer Days. Randy, Roger, and Virgil. Thanks, you guys, for shining up your cars and bringing them over.
And you know, Tim, if you are interested in buying a new or used Chrysler car, please do stop at Umberfirth Motor Sales here in Kalida. The new car year is starting soon, so stop by and ask for Randy Umberfirth and see the new Chrysler Corporation cars, vans, and trucks. Umberfirth Motor Sales, Tim, is open at convenient hours, so you can shop after the workday and on weekends.
I see that a lot of these vehicles have rebates this year, and I understand that Virgil called Lee Iacocca up and asked, just because we're having a celebration here in Putnam County, if he couldn't please just give Putnam County people a rebate, and Lee gave the okay. This is just a Putnam County rebate. A lot of these vehicles are $1,000 off. $1,000 looks a lot better in your pocket than it does in Virgil Umberfirth's. A Chrysler LeBaron, a very beautiful convertible LeBaron.
And right behind Umberfirth Motor Sales is a new business in town in Kalida, Ace Car Wash, located across from the IGA. Thank you for participating in this afternoon's parade.
And these vehicles are very, very shiny, Kevin. I bet you they washed them at the Ace Car Wash. Very, very pretty, beautiful, pretty vehicles. Thank you for coming over.
And right behind Ace Car Wash are again representatives from the Columbus Grove Pleasant Township Volunteer Fire Department. Thank you very much for coming to this afternoon's parade.
Following Mount Pleasant, we have the Continental Fire Department. And they're just having one unit this year, and it is a Ford, and it was manufactured in 1937. Chief name is Jack Good. Thanks for coming over, you guys.
Those guys are good over in Continental.
Our good friends just down the road from us take 115 and see all the good people over in Continental, Ohio. Home of the Musketeers. The Musketeers, Pirates, I'm sorry. Pirates, Pirates, Pirates.
You will never be forgotten about that, Tim. Right behind Continental Fire Department are representatives from Homeyer & Sons Sales and Service in Continental and also in Payne, Ohio.
Following Homeyer & Sons, we have the Village Idiots, sponsored by Collie Langhouse Ready Mix Incorporated here in Kalida and also in Ottawa. Thanks for coming over, fellas. You guys aren't near as good looking as the girls in the high school bands, but you ain't bad. Thank you for coming over.
And right behind those idiots are our friends from Ottoville, the Ottoville Fire Department. They brought along an International 1929 fire truck. The fire chief is Dave Ricker. Thank you very much, Big Green Ottoville Fire Department.
And here comes one of the more comical units through the Pioneer Day Parade. And they are called the... He looks happy to be here, don't he? They're called the Wee Wuv Woo. And there's Ralph Veroff riding a Wee Wuv Woo. There's a kangaroo coming. We got a couple little baby kangaroos. Oh, those are dinosaurs coming out of the kangaroo's pouch. How'd they get in there?
I think after riding those bicycles, they may need to see a chiropractor tomorrow, Tim.
Absolutely. And it probably wouldn't hurt if they'd take those bikes to a mechanic and get the wheels straightened out a little bit. They don't ride quite straight for some reason. Haven't figured that out yet. Here comes Ralph. Ralph's been backwards for years, and now he's proven it.
His motto is always backward, never forward.
Something about hindsight, I see, Ralph. Yeah. Ralph never wants to know where he's going. He always wants to know where he's been. Thanks for coming over, Ralph. We could scare you right now, Ralph, and say there's a truck coming.
Getting off his bike.
Right behind the Wee Wubs is the New Bavaria Fire Department, and they brought along a 1981 International. The fire chief of the New Bavaria Fire Department is Walter Trinkamp. Thank you very much for participating in this afternoon's Putnam County Pioneer Days Parade.
Following the Newber boys, we have Umberfirth Manufacturing here in Kalida, Ohio, and their float looks like it's the Wizard of Oz. There's Dorothy and the Wicked Witch, the Cowardly Lion. Following that, we have Ben Brees, Harley Davidson of Ottawa, Ohio, and the Choppers. A lot of motorcycle fanatics from Ottawa.
A lot of easy riders. It looks like they're giving us the victory sign with only one finger, Tim.
Some very, very fine-looking vehicles. Harley Davidson, manufactured here in the United States. Very, very fine vehicles. Thank you, Ottawa people, for coming over. Our good friends, Ben Brees in Ottawa, Ohio.
And bringing up the rear is Ben. Thank you, Ben, for coming this year.
And a little bit more. Harley Davidson, Harley Power, Ben Brees here in Ottawa. And the car was made by Verhoff Machine and Weld in Continental, Ohio. And the owner is Mr. Umberfirth, A.J. Umberfirth, driver Roger Umberfirth. Thanks for bringing that fine vehicle over.
And right behind Ben Brees are our friends from Columbus Grove. Skateland from Columbus Grove. Come discover the magic of skating. They're located just a couple miles south of Columbus Grove on State Route 65.
Here we have another towing truck from Hayden's in Lima, Ohio, and they'd like to remind everybody they are a 24-hour service. If you have any trouble in Lima, call them up. They'll help you out. Next, we have a vehicle celebrating Grandparents' Day, because that is Grandparents' Day today. If you get a chance and you see your grandmother or grandfather, by all means, give them a hug and wish them a happy day. Grandparents' Day, first week of September, Pioneer Sunday every year.
And right behind 5R Farms is representatives from Meek's General Store in North Creek. They say watch for our first anniversary sale November through December. They have all sorts of refrigerators, microwaves, dishwashers, ranges, washers, dryers, the whole bit. So please see your friends at Meek's in North Creek.
Following Meeks from North Creek, we have the Middle Point Fire Department. And they're just running one unit through the parade this year, and it is a 1949 International Fire Truck. The chief's name is Dwayne Snyder. Middle Point, our fine friends in Middle Point, thank you for coming over.
You know, Tim, Middle Point Fire Department comes every single year to Putnam County Pioneer Day Parade. We really want to thank them again for coming.
Absolutely. Middle Point, thank you again. I don't know what's coming up next, Kevin, but it's an awful loud one. It looks like they got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar walking with him on this side of the tent. Oh, that's maybe Kareem's wife.
All right, coming up on the viewing stand here, I'd like to introduce two ladies to your viewing stand. This is Rachel and Bertha. They're members of the Czechoslovakian women's basketball team. They've come all the way from Czechoslovakia to be with us here. Today we have a very special surprise for Kalida, Ohio in celebration of the 117th Pioneer Days.
Thank you, Defiance Mac and Soundwave. Thanks for coming over, you guys.
I think those ladies might need a steroid check, Tim. I'm not sure.
I understand that any athletes from Czechoslovakia that don't win a gold medal has to marry one of those ladies. And these are some more fine Mack trucks from Defiance, Ohio.
And also representing the Farmer's Elevator in New Bavaria, Ohio.
A fine-looking grain truck. I bet you that baby holds 1,000 bushels. More Harley riders, it looks like. Ben Brees brought the second troop in. Ben had plenty of motorcycle riders, and he wanted to keep us guessing. Harley Davidson, manufactured in the United States. Very fine vehicles. Some more Defiance Mack trucks. Very, very fine looking vehicles. If you got $100,000, you don't know what to do with it, right there it is. You can spend her. If you just so happen to have that kind of money burning in your pocket, toss a grand or two up here, you can owe them the other $1,000. They won't care. Next we have Baba Trucking Incorporated from Pandora, Ohio. Welcome, Pandora. Thank you for coming over. A very, very fine looking black truck pulling a lowboy full of a bunch of low boys and a couple of low girls. I know, the jokes are getting worse as the day wears on. We're almost through this.
And now approaching the reviewing stand are our great friends from Ottawa Fire Department. They brought 2 trucks along, a ladder truck and a pumper. The chief of the Ottawa Fire Department is Daryl Honeyford.
Our good friends just to the east of us in Ottawa, down 224. You ought to raise that ladder up, and then they can't reach you. Thanks again, Ottawa, for coming over. Very, very fine group of people over there, the Ottawa Volunteer Fire Department. Good group of people.
And right behind the Ottawa Fire Department is representatives from Flag City Truck and Equipment in Findlay, Ohio. They participated in last year's parade, and we certainly welcome them back again this year. Thank you very much, Flag City Truck and Equipment from Findlay.
That is a 1939 Mack truck from Flag City. Very, very beautifully restored. Beautiful vehicle. There's another one of those little cheap trucks right here from Flag City. Those real cheap little things. Don't cost very much at all. And some more vehicles from Flag City in Findlay, Ohio. Another Mack truck. Beautiful black Mack truck. Let's hear the horn, fellas. They don't want to. There we go. That's sounding better. And another beautiful Mack truck from Flag City Truck Implement, Findlay, Ohio. If you're interested in a truck, go to Flag City. Hi, ladies. Thanks for coming over. Very fine looking group of young people on that truck. You're welcome, Mindy.
And right behind Flag City Trucking and Equipment is Ed Foreman Chevrolet and Olds from Ottawa. For some very fine new Chevrolets, stop at Ed Foreman's in Ottawa.
Right behind that truck that's loaded down, or that car loaded down with people from Ed Foreman, we have the Glandorf Fire Department. Glandorf, thanks for coming over. Their first unit is a 1979 Chief car, and it was manufactured by Ford. Unit number 5 is a GMC 1980 Bush buggy, also from Glandorf. Very fine looking outfit. Unit number 2 is a Ford, which was manufactured in 1975, and it is a pumper. And it's nice to see all the firemen all dressed up in their nice suits. Glandorf men, you look great this afternoon. Thank you for coming over again. And the final unit from Glandorf is a 1969 equipment truck, also from Glandorf. And the fire chief's name is Kenneth Meyer. Again, Glandorf, you guys look good in your suits. That's a neat idea. Thanks for coming over. Looking good. Again, our good friends just down the road of 224, Glandorf Fire Department. Thank you again, fellas.
And Tim, right behind the Glandorf Fire Department are representatives of the Riley Township Pandora Fire Department. They brought along some units this afternoon. The first one is a Howe Midship pumper built in 1954. The fire chief of the Pandora Fire Department is Kevin Vance.
Following Riley Township in Pandora, we have the Oakwood Fire Department, and they brought with them today a bush truck and heavy rescue. It's a 1985 Ford. The chief's name is Ron Atkins. Thank you for coming over, Oakwood. Fine looking unit.
And right behind the Oakwood Fire Department is the Defiance Emergency Management. They've brought along a utility unit pickup truck. Thank you, Defiance Emergency Management, for coming to this afternoon's Putnam County Pioneer Days Parade.
Following that unit, we have Violet Implement Sales in Delphus, Ohio. There's Howard Violet driving the H since 1951. Violet Implement. Oh, this is a 1951? How long you guys been in business? Since 54. Thanks for coming over, Howard. Thank you very much. Following the old H, we have a 1486 pulling a Culti planter manufactured here in Kalida by Umberfirth Manufacturing. Very, very pretty red outfit. Also a Case International drill. Following that unit, we have a 7120 front wheel assist. That is a 150 horse tractor. And it's pulling a 325 Umberfirth McCurdy wagon. Thanks for coming over again, Violet. Very, very fine outfit. And here's another one of those really cheap vehicles. It's a 1660 Case International. You can pick up that baby for about 100 grand. Take it home. Very good looking vehicle.
And right behind Violet Equipping are again some cars and trucks from Ed Foreman Chevrolet Olds in Ottawa. They have and provide wonderful service for their new and used cars, and their hours are very convenient for shopping and also wonderful hours for their service too. So stop at Ed Foreman's Oldsmobile and Chevrolet in Ottawa.
There is a Cutlass Sierra SL donated by Ed Foreman, driven for us to see today, and a 4x4 tracker from Ed Foreman.
Ed Foreman is having a raffle to raffle off a 1989 Geo. It's $5 per ticket. The Ottawa Glandorf alumni are raffling that off. It'll be September 16th in Ottawa.
Following the beautiful cars brought over by Ed Foreman, we have Magic Music mobile disc jockey. We play for all occasions, country or rock. Phone 695-8272. Thanks for coming over, Magic Music.
I got this one.
Following that, we have Thatcher's Snowmobiles out of Van Wert, Ohio, Middle Point. Claire told me last week they just got finished with the summer sale. It was 100% off. It ended last week. But if you come and see him this week, he'll still give you a good deal. See Claire Diane Thatcher in Middle Point, Ohio for a good-looking snowmobile. Claire, thanks for coming over. You're looking kind of tired there, little buddy. You got a long ways to go. Henry Implement from Continental, Ohio. Your dealer that'll furnish you all the John Deere equipment you can use. Henry Implement, Continental, Ohio. Thanks for coming over. We have a 1944 John Deere B owned by Ron Schulte, and it's driven by his brother Jerome Schulte. Thanks. You look good, Jerome. You look awful good. There's Ronnie Schulte. You look good too, Ronnie. That's a 57 John Deere, 60-30. Ron Schulte owns it. He restored it. Looks awful pretty. As you can see, John Deere is truly a fine manufacturer of tractors because we had all those old tractors still looking good, running like a top. And then from the old comes the new. A 4455 front wheel assist John Deere tractor by Henry Implement. That tractor, I bet, has 155 horsepower. Very, very fine looking vehicle. Very fine looking vehicle. See Henry Implement for all your John Deere needs in Continental, Ohio. Thank you for coming over, Continental. So they're right on junction 613 and State Route 15. Henry Implement. Next we have Ed's Automotive out of Leipzig, Ohio. Phone number 943-3766. Ed's Automotive Towing. That's a pretty big hoist he's got there, Kevin. I'll bet he could tow a bunch of cars and trucks with that, baby.
Quite a few, Tim, quite a few.
Next we have Classics Hits out of Ottawa, WQTL 106 FM. Classic Hits. Listen to you guys all the time. Good radio station. Excellent radio station. We'd like to thank them for their 2 live remotes that they sponsored for us today here in Putnam County, Pioneer Days.
Passing the
Thanks you guys very much.
Passing the reviewing stand is Ed's Tavern, having a float which says, "Remember when." Thank you very much for your participation in this afternoon's Putnam County Pioneer Days Parade.
Remember when? I don't. That's a day or two before my time. Next we have Manley's Table and Chair Rentals out of Fort Jennings. The Manleys will deliver any number of chairs that you want at a very reasonable price. Rentals and sales. As you can see, their equipment looks pretty darn new to me. It's good stuff. The Manleys are good people. Support them. Looks like we have more chairs and tables for rent from the Manleys. Anniversaries, weddings, graduations, parties, whatever. You call them up, they'll do it.
And passing the reviewing stand one more time is the float representing Ronald McDonald House. They will be having their raffle in front of the fire station immediately following the parade.
Help Ronald McDonald out. Those people do a lot of good things for all over the country. The parents of young cancer victims can stay at their house for no cost at all. The Ronald McDonald House does really a lot of good for Putnam County and all over the United States. Next we have Big Daddy's Carryout again one more time, and that shows the end of the parade. Big Daddy's. What can you say, but an old Beatles classic is one of the best music you can boogie to. An old Beatles classic is my favorite.
We certainly would like to thank everyone for their participation in this afternoon's Putnam County Pioneer Days celebration. We couldn't have done it without you. Thank you very much to all the participants who were in the parade this afternoon. We do have some announcements. The Kalida EMS is having their 3rd annual barbecue chicken fundraiser October 1st at the Kalida Fire Station. They'll be serving their barbecue chicken from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. The EMS squad from Kalida would certainly appreciate your support.
At this time, I would also like to thank everybody for listening to us and enjoying the parade, and I'd like to thank the big guy upstairs for not letting it rain on our parade. Everybody have a safe and enjoyable afternoon. Thanks for coming over to Kalida. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to also thank my good friend Kevin Kidd for helping me out this afternoon. Kevin now resides in Lima, came all the way to help with the parade this afternoon. Kevin, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Tim, for your help this afternoon.
Have an enjoyable day, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Okay, folks, if you're moving out from the outlying areas toward the downtown area, we want you to stop at the big ticket tent. Get your chance on this big ticket. $2,500 be given away tonight. You need not be here to win, but do get your chance on it before you leave.